I arrived in Innsmouth at low tide, when the harbour looked like it was holding its breath. The bus left me at the edge of the port and did not wait to see if I'd find my way back. I stood with my collar turned up, listening to the slap of water against stone and the distant clank of rigging. Somewhere, a gull cried, then cut itself off mid-call, as if it had seen something it shouldn't. I told myself I was here for a reason. A girl, 9 years old, named Ruth, had gone missing 3 nights earlier. Last seen near the fish sheds by the docks. The town had offered shrugs and sideways glances, and the police report was thin as paper left out in the rain. I wasn't a cop, just a man who owed her mother a debt from long ago. That was enough to bring me here. Innsmouth had a smell that clung to the back of the throat. Brine, old oil, and something sweet turning bad. The buildings leaned inward, their windows dark and watchful. As I walked, my footsteps sounded wrong, too crisp, as if the stones resented being disturbed. I took notes, forced myself to look ordinary, to breathe slow. Calm first, panic later if needed. A door creaked open somewhere above me. I looked up. A curtain twitched, then nothing. I moved on, telling myself it was a nervous town protecting its own. The port opened ahead, a scatter of sheds and nets and boats that hadn't sailed in years. The water lay black and glossy, reflecting the lamps in broken lines. I called Ruth's name once, softly. It felt foolish the moment it left my mouth. Something answered, not her voice, but a sound like a wet palm pressed and lifted. I froze. The sound came again, closer to the water. I edged toward a shed, heart ticking faster. Inside, I found small footprints in the dust, half smudged, leading toward the pier. A child's shoes. My stomach tightened. A shadow slipped across the wall. I spun, flashlight up. Nothing there. The beam cut through mist, caught on a rusted hook, a coil of rope. The shadow returned, thinner now, sliding where it shouldn't, against the direction of the light. My skin crawled. I backed out into the open, forcing myself not to run. The counting started then, low and rhythmic, like men keeping time for work. It drifted from the far end of the pier. I told myself it was fishermen. It sounded like too many mouths for that. I moved anyway, because stopping felt worse. Halfway down the pier, the boards groaned under my weight. I paused. The water below shifted, and for a moment, I thought I saw something pale roll beneath the surface, vast and slow. My light trembled. When I steadied it, there was only my reflection, warped and long. I reached the end of the pier and found a small shoe, caught between boards. Pink, scuffed, My breath came sharp. I crouched, fingers hovering before touching it, as if it might vanish. That's when a hand closed around my wrist. I shouted and tore free, stumbling back. The man who'd grabbed me was old, his face folded into itself like a map drawn too many times. His eyes shone oddly in the lamplight. "You shouldn't be here," he said, not unkindly. "Where is she?" I demanded. My voice shook. "Where's the girl?" He smiled, slow and careful. "She's where she belongs." The counting grew louder. Figures emerged from the fog along the pier, men and women, moving with a strange, rolling ease. Their eyes reflected green. Their mouths moved in time with the numbers. I realized they weren't counting at all. They were teaching. "Let me pass," I said, backing toward the shore. "I'll leave." The old man shook his head. "You won't." A small shape stepped out from behind him. Ruth. Her hair was wet, her eyes too bright. She looked at me without fear. "Sir," she said, and her voice was calm as still water. "It's beautiful down there." The true threat revealed itself not in claws or teeth, but in the way the crowd leaned forward, expectant, in the way the water rose, lapping higher against the pier, eager. This wasn't a town hiding a crime. It was a place making an offering and teaching its children to do the same. I surged forward, grabbing Ruth, pulling her back. The crowd hissed as one. Hands reached. I shoved, kicked, felt fingers brush my coat. The elder man shouted something that sounded like a warning. The water heaved, and something beneath it struck the pier, boards splintering. I ran. Ruth stumbled, then found her feet, surprisingly strong. We burst onto the street as lamps went crong us. The counting turned into a roar, then faded with distance. I didn't stop until the bus headlights cut through the fog at the edge of town. Ruth collapsed against me, shaking now, a child again. I held her and didn't look back. When the bus pulled away, I watched Innsmouth recede. In the window's reflection, for just a second, I thought I saw my eyes catch the light, green and shining. I blinked and it was gone. The harbor exhaled, and I wondered what debts truly cost.